All right. All right, so we are live. So welcome everyone. Welcome to February 9th, 2021 City Council meeting. This meeting is being recorded by video and audio in accordance with the state open meeting law, consistent with the governor's orders, suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law and banning gatherings of more than 10 people. This meeting will be conducted by remote participation. Additionally, all votes taken by the City Council during this and future remote meetings will be by roll call vote. If you are calling in on a phone, you can press *9 to request to speak. If you are watching on a computer or device, there is a raise hand button that you can tap or press to request to speak. Please use either of these options during oral communication to be recognized to speak. So in attendance this evening, I'm going to announce the city councilors, and in no particular order. I'm going from my left to my right. We have myself, Councilor LeBlanc. We have Councilor Holmgren. We have Councilor Pett, Councilor McCarthy, Councilor Gilman, Councilor Memhard, Councilor O'Hara, Councilor Cox, and Councilor Nolan. Also in attendance, we have the mayor, Mayor Taken. We have our CAO, Nicole Kaiser. We have our city solicitor, Chip Payson. Let's see, who else do we have? Did I miss anybody? And we have our always present city clerk, Joanne Sinos. Madam Clerk, can we have actually, before we start, I'd like to do a moment of silence. We have one of our city employees' husband that just passed over the weekend, Sandy Peak. So I would like to do a moment of silence for him. And if anybody has any words to say, they would please go right ahead. All right, seeing none. So we'll have a moment of silence for Sandy. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Sean, before we do the moment of silence.
I'm sorry, but it's worth mentioning.
Absolutely.
Sandy's been like a second father to me and my brothers. They're a very tight family, community orientated, always there when you need them. Very quiet in their own stature. He was a musical wizard, and some of the technologies brought to the guitar world has been phenomenal. He loves nature. He's enjoyed Melissa's photographs and time. Sally is wonderful, and the community lost a great one this weekend, and it's so hard to compare in words and what he's done behind the scenes for his country as a veteran. And I feel for Sally. She's a quiet person, does her job in the auditor's office, does it well, and we really missed her. We lost a great one this weekend.
Well said, Sean. Thank you. So we'll have a moment of silence for Mr. Peak. All right. Thanks again, Sean. Appreciate the kind words, and I'm sure Sally appreciates them also. Before we get started this evening, we have a continuance of 99 Essex Avenue. So everybody that's on the call this evening, 99 Essex Avenue is going to be continued out till March 9th. Is that correct, Joanne?
Yes.
Yes. So it's going to be continued out till March 9th. The applicant has asked us to postpone this for a couple of council meetings. So anybody that's on the call this evening that would like to speak at the public hearing for 99 Essex Avenue, we will not be hearing this tonight. We will open the public hearing when it comes to that, and we will continue it until March 9th, just to give everybody an FYI so they're not lingering on the call. And if you have better things to do tonight, go ahead and do them. Madam Clerk, can we have the next order of business, please?
First order of business is oral communications.
Thank you. So during oral communications, the public shall have every opportunity to speak during the regularly scheduled meeting and be heard under oral communications matters not appearing on the agenda. Oral communication shall allow any resident who has a request or complaint of any nature relative to city business to appear before the council, state their problem without debate, and the matter shall be referred to the proper agency through the office of the mayor. The resident will be notified within 2 weeks prior to relative to the disposition of same, and a copy shall be forwarded to the city council. Persons speaking under oral communication shall be limited to 3 minutes each. and the council president shall not allow complaints as to individual performance. So would anybody like to speak under oral communications? Once again, if you are calling in on a phone, you press *9, and if you are on a computer or device, there is a raise hand button. All right, so we have Annabelle, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Thank you. Name and address for the record, please.
My name is Annabelle Wildrick. I live at 46 Sumner Street.
Okay, thank you. Go right ahead.
And I'm not really sure if this is the right time. I wanted to speak about the firing range at Haskell Pond. Am I jumping the gun here? No pun intended.
It's on our agenda tonight to be referred out to O&A, but if you'd like to, if you'd like to speak on it, go right ahead.
Okay, thank you. Well, I'm speaking because my husband actually spoke at the last meeting about this. We live nearby, and we're fortunately not within earshot of the gunshot, but we do like to hike in the area, and so we're very concerned. After my husband spoke at the last meeting, he received a letter from Mayor Taken, which was lovely. Except when I read it, I was extremely puzzled because it had what I thought was erroneous information in it, in which she noted that the only time the West Gloucester firing range would be used would be 2 weeks during the spring and 2 weeks in the fall. My understanding, having been present at the meeting at the firing range last October, and according to other things I've read, is that there will also be the firing range will be used every Wednesday all summer long. So my feeling is, and my point is that it's a little bit difficult to feel confident in information we're receiving when the letter from the mayor is perhaps erroneous or at least contradictory to other information we've received. It doesn't inspire trust. With all due respect to the mayor and to all of you, that's my point, and that's all I'd like to say. So thank you for listening.
Annabelle, thank you. I know a few of us have our communications crossed with this. So we've been getting a bunch of information on this. So anybody that has information would like to have some feedback from you guys, we'd appreciate it. We're open to corrections. We appreciate that, pointing this out with the errors on the letter, and we will fix them and we will get a response back out to you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to speak under oral communications? If you are calling in, you can press *9, and if you are on a device or a computer, you can raise your hand to talk. Marianne, are you there? Can you hear me?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Name and address for the record, please.
Yes, Marianne Albert Boucher, 93 Mount Pleasant Avenue. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I just want to say last week during the Essex Avenue meeting, I liked the words of Val Gilman and Jen Holgram. I don't know exactly how they went, but there was something like they left no stone unturned and they did their due diligence to make sure that everything was in place before they made their vote. I'm going to reference that to the Traffic Commission meeting that I went to last week in regards to the school project. No stones left unturned. Do your due diligence. I know that the Traffic Commission, or at least from what I understand right now, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, was not maybe invited, or the suggestions did not appear before the vote on November 3rd. I would love to make a request to ask the City Council to invite the Traffic Commission to the City Council. I know that Barry Pat and Jamie O'Hara were at that meeting, and there were a lot of concerns about the traffic. At this point, we know that there's a project coming. I'm highly concerned for the students, the staff, the bikers, the walkers, the people who drive their cars, anybody that's using any form of transportation with this project. We're going from a 210 student body school with approximately 40 odd staff members to 520 people altogether. And I think we need to really look at this project clearly. And our traffic commission, if there's anybody that should be able to speak in regards to that, it should be our local traffic commission who knows our city's roads and streets and avenues better than anyone. So I'm making a formal request to have the traffic commission speak at one of your council meetings. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Mary Ann. All right. Hold on. All right, Stephen, can you hear me?
Yes, I sure can. Thanks.
Name and address for the record, please.
Sure. Steve Noel, 567 Essex Ave,
Thank you,
Gloucester,
go ahead.
Mass. And just wanted to kind of follow up on some of the comments from the first speaker on kind of the lack of confidence and trust on the heels of the mayor's letter, with being so out of tune with, you know, the requirements of the amendment. And I also just wanted to another instance of
Steve,
that is, yeah,
you know, the dishonesty and trust is not really, we can't, I'm going to stop your time right now so I can just address this real quick. You know, we can't allow complaints as to individual performance. I understand if the mayor's office misworded a letter or something like that, but the mistrust and the, you know, things like that, we understand that maybe there was misinformation. We will fix it, but the mistrust and stuff like that, maybe it was just an error, you know.
Yep.
So I just don't want to go down that foxhole with, you know, accusations, false. That's all.
okay, yeah.
Okay,
no
I appreciate it. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, probably just a poor choice of words then.
Yeah,
But
thank you. I appreciate it.
no problem. I just wanted to just emphasize, on January 20th, I sent a message to the GPD on Facebook, on their Facebook site, asking, you know, how do you announce notifications of shooting days? And the response was that if it's an emergency, we'll call 911. If not, we'll get back to you as soon as we can. And that was January 20th. I still have yet to receive a response. So the fact that they say they're using social media to communicate and keep in touch with the neighborhood, that's just not accurate in my case.
Okay.
And I'm still waiting for an answer.
Okay, we'll get you something. That's why we have these oral communications, so we can listen to you guys. I
Thank you.
appreciate it. All right, Steve, thank you.
Yep.
All right, moving right along. We have, and I apologize if I'm going to mispronounce this, Nubar. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Can we have your name and address for the record, please?
Yeah, my name is Nubar Alexanian. I live at 11 Sumner Street.
Go ahead.
And I just have a question about the firing range. I'm a little confused about, so the firing range was closed in 2009 and there was no shooting for 11 years. And I'm just wondering, what did the city do? What did the police department do for 11 years to meet the requirements for their training? I haven't heard anything, and I was sort of looking around online. I'm just wondering, how did the city solve the problem of getting the police department to train for those 11 years?
Right.
Looks like Councilor Nolan might have something.
Steve?
Yeah, you know, typically we don't debate this stuff, Sean, but if you want to give some information.
We're definitely touching on agenda here. And as much as I want to hear from these people, especially Nubar and Ann, who's up next, they're wonderful people. We have something in front of us that's going to be forward to O&A. We're going to be looking into different resources, and we all understand there's something going on that we need to look at. But I don't want to make a precedent here, and I hate using that word, on council of letting people speak on matters on the agenda. The first one was great, it was quick, but I don't think we should make a night of it tonight on the agenda, and I feel bad for these people. They need to be heard, but we do have rules of procedure, and I don't want to sneak down a narrow path of listening to things that are on the agenda when we tell people in the future that we can't hear from them.
No, I understand. I understand, Counselor. And maybe Chip, can you weigh in on this possibly? It's on the agenda for referral. It's not for a vote this evening. So how do you feel about listening to oral communications about something being referred out to a committee report?
Can I interrupt for a second? I
Oh.
was not asking about the future. I'm asking, or the present. I was asking about the past.
Okay, well,
What happened?
Newbar, during oral communications, we don't debate this. You'll get a letter from the mayor's office with
Okay,
the answer
great.
to your question.
That's great.
So
Thank
now
you.
we're just doing a procedural question.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Chip, would you like to weigh in on this possibly?
Well, I'd suggest, Mr. President, since, we've allowed some people to speak, that I think that, if other people want to speak, I think that you should probably let them speak as well. I think
Okay.
it's an either or in totality issue.
Right.
That's my opinion.
Okay. Without objection from the council, I don't see many, but there's one more person that has their hand up for this matter, or whatever's on there. Okay. Ann, can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Name and address for the record, please.
Ann Stevens, 10 Winter Haven Road, Gloucester.
Thank you. Go ahead.
I also spoke at a couple of meetings about the firing range on Forest Lane in West Gloucester. And I also received a letter from the mayor Friday, the 4th, or I received it last Friday. It was addressed February 4th. And I just have one question about one detail in that letter for the mayor and anyone on the city council. And I understand that you won't answer it now. I will get a letter from the mayor later. That would be great. At the last sentence of the first paragraph, the letter is basically addressing the concerns that I raised when I spoke on January 12th at the city council meeting. So I brought up that there was minimal signage at the site of the firing range. And Mayor Taken, you said signage is prominently posted on and around this city property. So my question is, have you been to the property? Because I went back on Friday just to double check to make sure I wasn't missing anything, and there were absolutely no signs up. There was no signage. So I was just wondering if you have gone to the site, because there is no signage. Thank you.
Thank you, Ann. All right, up next, we have Dennis. Dennis, can you hear me?
Okay, you got me?
Yeah, name and address for the record, please.
Dennis McGurk, 283 Concord Street.
Thank you. Go ahead.
I want to thank you and thank everybody for their efforts and the work that you do. That's a given. But that said, I got issues, and I'm worried. And I'm concerned about, as I've said before, development in the city and in West Gloucester in particular. We have been a target for development over the years, and it's not going to change. And I've been watching the city activities for years. What's become more and more evident is that we're not prepared to manage this growth. And maybe we need to take a different approach. And I took a few instances, situations to consider. For example, the routine issuance of special permits to get around zoning ordinances becomes a common tool, then maybe it's time to revise the guidelines for issuing special permits. If the cluster zoning bylaw can be twisted to justify cramming 12 houses onto 3 acres on top of a ledge with water down below, it's time to clarify and rewrite the intention of the cluster development. If the city thinks it's perfectly appropriate to watch while a member of one of its own boards shills for an extreme height variance for a client, it's time to tighten the conflict of interest bylaws. If it was legal for a resident to blast a 40-foot deep canyon into ledge for a private driveway, then we need to establish a better blasting ordinance, or in fact, a blasting ordinance. I don't think we have one. If a resident can build an openly visible stump dump that is not in compliance with town regulations and is operating without the required state permits, where's the oversight and control from the city? If the city's conforming, is comfortable issuing a variance that will allow a 50-foot high building on Essex Ave along the canal, I'm not sure that's where you're at yet now, but if this is even being considered, we need to review and tighten the guidelines for variances. And lastly, if a city can justify dropping a firing range into the middle of a neighborhood, an open, and in the middle of a neighborhood, an open space hiking trails, it needs to look at its review and approval process. All of these above circumstances, the city has not been transparent in many of them, or hasn't followed proper decision-making procedures, or has not listened to its neighborhood residents. Very large tracts of land are coming on the market, particularly in West Gloucester. If not managed properly, the appeal of living in West Gloucester is going to continue to diminish. And that problem, I think, is emblematic of the whole city. And I'm not anti-build, and my neighbors aren't anti-build. Everybody's got the right to sell land and build on it, but you got to follow the rules and pay attention to the zoning ordinances, and the cities must enforce them. So I'm very concerned about that. My concern is what lies ahead. Rhetorical questions. What is the city's vision? Do you have one? What do you want the city to look like in 10 years? Thank you for your thinking about that, and I look forward to talking more about it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dennis. All right, up next, we have Jean. Can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me?
Name and address for the record, please.
Jean Grobe, 17 Lincoln Street in West Gloucester.
Thank you. Go ahead.
All right. First of all, I'd like to thank Councilors Cox and O'Hara for bringing forth changes to the firing range ordinance, which was modified on April 28th last year. It's much appreciated by the Preserve West Gloucester Group. The City Council and the citizens of West Gloucester deserve a well thought out plan to help Chief Conley achieve his state mandated fire range training goals that is based on facts with a clear budget and input from the community. This clearly was not done in March and April of last year. We are growing weary of responses to our objections that have no basis in fact. Please consider rescinding this ordinance and starting over. The Gloucester Police Department has been managing to obtain the appropriate certifications over the past several years. Please take a few months to study, craft, review, and develop a permanent solution that works for everyone. I hope that when O&A subcommittee meets on the 15th, they will consider everyone's needs and opinions on this matter. Thank you.
Thank you, Jean. All right, up next, we have Robin. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Name and address for the record, please.
Robin Hosking, 24 Lane, Gloucester.
Thank you. Go ahead.
So I just wanted to add a couple of things to all of the other issues I've had with the possible firing range. Of course, we all know about the unbearable explosions and noise that goes on when it's being fired, even for the short time that it was done in October, which was unbearable to the residents and children and pets, etc. But I think there's not much been said about the, there's been a little bit said about the use of the bullets, which contain lead. My son actually went down and we easily pulled a few bullets from the berm. They are lead-based. This dam that they're shooting into is just right down, is right upstream to a tributary that flows into the Essex River, also into the shellfish beds, of course, and possible contamination of our food supply. In addition to that, when lead bullets are fired, there's also the release of lead dust. And people wandering through the trails can be exposed to that. Children, pets. No one has mentioned the effect on wildlife. It's very disruptive and detrimental to the health of wildlife. There's plenty of it down there. Not to mention, of course, loss of recreational area, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. plus. This, and anyway, I appreciate you listening to my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Robin. Is there anybody else that would like to speak under oral communications? Councilor Holmgren, do you have something to say?
Yes, I just want to clarify, next Monday is President's Day. Is O&A still taking place or will there need to be a schedule change?
There is a schedule change. City Hall will be closed. It's a holiday, and our next ordinance administration meeting is March 1st.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay, I was going to announce that after everybody's done talking, but thank you for bringing it up. Appreciate it. Would anybody else like to speak under oral communications? All right, seeing none. I just want to announce we have 18 panelists and we have 50 people in attendance. And for those of you who just joined in late, we will not be hearing 99 Essex Avenue this evening. It's going to be continued out till March 9th. So if you were here for 99 Essex Avenue public hearing, we will not be listening to that tonight. We will open the public hearing when it comes to that portion of the meeting, and we will continue it till March 9th. So if you were here for 99 Essex Avenue, we will not be hearing that this evening. All right, Madam Clerk, can we have the next order of business, please?
The next order of business is confirmation of new appointments.
All right. And Sean, would you like me to read the motions? Councilor Nolan?
If you could, that'd be great. I'm in the
Okay.
middle of a phone call with someone else about broken down.
Okay, not a problem. I can do that for you. All right, so ordinance administration would like to recommended that the city council appoint Matt Lumberg to the Community Preservation Committee, term to expire 2/14/21, and I so move.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilor LeBlanc, seconded by Councilor O'Hara. Is there any council discussion? Councilor Gilman?
I think the term to expire is 2024,
Oh, I'm
not
sorry.
2021.
I'm sorry. It is. My bad.
Okay.
Thank you. I appreciate the correction. Term to expire 2/14/24. So I will amend my motion and correct the date for a term to expire 2/14/24, and I so move.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. On the amendment, I'll call roll call. Council Holmgren,
Yes.
Councilor LeBlanc, yes. Council McCarthy,
Yes.
Council Memhard,
Yes.
Councilor Nolan,
Yes.
Councilor O'Hara,
Yes.
Councilor Pett,
Yes.
Councilor Cox,
Yes.
and Councilor Gilman.
Yes.
All right, just to be safe. All right, Matt, how are you?
Great. Thank you, Steve.
No problem. Just want to make sure we do this correct. So I'm going to support you this evening. I think you're going to do great. I have a lot of respect for you, your wife, the Lumberg family, and I'm looking forward for the next 3 years of you being on this committee and kicking some butt.
Thanks, everybody. I'm really looking forward to it, and I'm delighted to be working in the city again.
No problem. Anybody else? Council Gilman?
I've known Matt since we were in high school. And it was so exciting when he decided to return here with his wonderful wife. I think it was maybe 6 or 7 years ago, but it was great. And the amount of enthusiasm he has for our city, the love for our city, the history of our city, and the passion that he has to make our city even better than it is really appreciated. So I'm delighted that you've put your name in the hat, Matt. Thank you.
Val. Councilor Nolan?
Matt, thank you again. Your dedication to the city and coming back is awesome. The CPC is a great committee. We have a lot of things going on, and the future looks great and even brighter with you in it. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Sean. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Sean. Councilor Cox and then Councilor Holmgren.
Matt, I'm pretty sure the only reason why you're volunteering is because your wife is already volunteering. So you guys might as well do it together and actually try to spend some time together. But you're probably on different committees. So, good luck with that. You are amazing. And we are very lucky to have you volunteering in the city. So welcome aboard.
Thanks, Melissa.
Thanks, Melissa. Councilor Holmgren.
Matt, thank you very much for giving so generously of your time and experience, and I can't wait to see what you do.
Thanks, Jen. Anybody else?
Thanks, Jen.
Councilor Pett.
Yes, just welcome aboard and thank you, Matt, for again joining the city and volunteering your time. The Community Preservation Committee will be well served by having you on board, as will the entire city. Thanks,
Thank you,
Barry.
Thank you, Barry. Anybody else? All right, seeing none, I will call for the roll call. Counselor Holmgren,
Yes.
Counselor LeBlanc, yes. Counselor McCarthy,
Yes, and thank you for volunteering, Matt.
Counselor Memhard,
Yes, and again, I join you all in thanking Matt.
thank you. Counselor Nolan,
Yes, and thank you, Matt.
Counselor O'Hara,
Yes.
Counselor Pat,
Yes.
Counselor Cox,
Yes.
and Counselor Gilman.
Yes.
Motion passes on a roll call vote of 9 in favor, 0 opposed. Thank you, Matt. Appreciate your time. And if you need anything from the council or the mayor's office, please feel free to reach out.
Thanks, everybody else. Sure.
Thank you. All right, up next, we have Susan Silvera on the Council on Aging. Ordinance Administration voted roll call vote 3 in favor, 0 opposed to recommend that the city council appoint Susan Silvera to the Council on Aging, term to expire 2/14/24. And I so move.
Second.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded by Councilor Pat and Councilor O'Hara. Any discussion? Councilor Holmgren,
Sue, thank you so much for joining the Council on Aging, and you have just been involved in the city for such a long time in so many different capacities, and I'm really excited to see what you do in this latest role. Thank you.
Thanks, Jen.
thank you, Jen. Councilor McCarthy,
Seems like I run across Sue in a lot of different venues where she's volunteering. Thank you for all that you do and all of the time that you volunteer, Sue.
Thanks, John.
thanks, John. Anybody else? Councilor Pat,
Yes. Sue, love you, obviously, and thank you so much for volunteering again for the city and for, as Council McCarthy said, one of many things in your working for the city and your volunteering has been a plus, 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 and I'm sure it will continue to do the same. And
Thanks, Barry.
thank you, Barry. Councilor Cox and then Councilor Nolan.
I don't think that I've ever served on a committee where I haven't seen Sue around. So I greatly appreciate her time. Her input is priceless. There's a wealth of knowledge there that anybody would be able to learn from. So we look forward to seeing you on the Council on Aging.
Thanks, Melissa.
Thanks, Melissa. Councilor Nolan,
So you've been around everywhere, and right now the Council on Aging is a really important situation with COVID, with scams and things going on, and I feel 100% confident that you'll work to make sure this all happens for everybody and everybody will be treated well, and we'll look out for them. Thank you.
Thanks, Sean.
thank you, Sean. Anybody else? Councilor Gilman,
Yeah, I'm excited about serving with Sue on the board of the Council on Aging. She was at our meeting this past week as a just attending to listen to us, and it was great to have her there. It's also great because she definitely stays involved with everything that's going on in the city. So I'm always seeing her forwarding people's messages that are real important to the city. And so that really is great to know that you're a supporter and want to make sure that we're communicating well, and really appreciate it. So thank you.
Thanks, Val.
thanks, Val. Anybody else? All right, seeing none. So Sue, thank you. Appreciate your dedication and your time, your volunteering. And if same thing as Matt and everybody else on these boards and committees, if there's anything the city council can do or the mayor's office, please feel free to reach out.
Thanks,
All right.
Steve.
So we have a motion and we have a second. I will call for the roll. Councilor Holmgren,
Yes.
Councilor LeBlanc, yes. Councilor McCarthy,
Yes.
Councilor Memhard,
Here, yes, and thank you, Suzanne.
Councilor Nolan,
Yes, and thank you, Sue.
Councilor O'Hara,
Yes.
Councilor Pat,
yes.
Councilor Cox,
Yes.
and Counselor Gilman.
Yes.
Motion passes on a roll call vote of 9 in favor, 0 opposed. Once again, thank you, Sue, and congratulations to you and Matt. Up next, we have the
Thanks.
Magnolia Peer Advisory Committee for Noreen Gillis. Ordinance Administration voted 3 in favor, 0 opposed by roll call to recommend that the City Council appoint Noreen Gillis to fulfill an unexpired term to the Magnolia Peer Advisory Committee, term to expire 2/14/22, and I so move.
Second.
All right. Do we have any council discussion? Councilor Nolan?
I want to thank Noreen for stepping up again. She's not stepping up. She's never not been there. Everything that she does is wonderful. We've done a lot of work together. She's perfect for this opportunity with what we have going on with situations at the pier. I can't wait to have a working meeting with her. And I would like to ask that the mayor chime in on this and get us a meeting with the Magnolia Pier Advisory Committee after the appointment, so we can figure some things out with the situation of the float and the ramp.
Thank you, Sean. Council Holmgren?
Noreen, I agree with everything that Councillor Nolan said. Thank you for stepping up. Thank you for volunteering. The Magnolia Pier needs care, oversight, and dedication, and you have all of those things, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Jen.
Thank you, Sean and Jen.
Councilor Pat?
Yes, just thank you to Noreen for continued involvement in the Magnolia Pier. I work with you in another capacity in the Gloucester Fund with it. And as always, everybody at the pier appreciates your involvement and commitment to helping out. And we thank you for doing so for the entire city, not just the Magnolia community.
Thank you, Barry.
Thank you, Barry. Any other councilor? Councilor Gilman?
When I finally have time to get out of Ward 4 and go to Ward 5 and hang out with some of the events there, Noreen is always there, energized and doing all the right things for her community. And it's really appreciated, Noreen. Thank you for putting your name in the hat. It's really, it's great. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Val. Any other councilor? All right. Melissa, did you have your hand up? No.
No, but since I have the opportunity, I love working with Noreen. I worked with her on the pier auction. It was fun evening, and I look forward to getting back to those fun evenings.
Me too.
Tell me about it. We all do. All right, Noreen, same here. Thank you for stepping up and volunteering. We appreciate everything you do. And if there's anything we can do or the mayor's office can do, feel free to reach out. We appreciate it. All right, so we have a motion. We have a second. I will offer the roll call. Council Holmgren.
Yes.
Councilor LeBlanc. Yes. Councilor McCarthy.
Yes, and thank you, Noreen, for all you do over in Magnolia and everywhere else.
Councilor Memhard.
Yes, thank you, Noreen.
Councilor Nolan.
Yes, absolutely.
Councilor O'Hara.
Yes.
Councilor Pat.
Yes.
Councilor Cox.
Definitely yes.
And Councilor Gilman.
Yes.
All right, motion passes on a roll call vote of 9 in favor, 0 opposed. All right, thank you to the new appointments. We appreciate your time and your volunteering. Madam Clerk, can we have the next order of business, please?
The next order of business is the consent agenda.
Are there any counselors that would like to pull anything off the consent agenda? Councilor Holmgren.
Yes, I would like to pull, pardon me, Councilor's Order 2021-001.
All right, anybody else? All right, seeing none. Councilor Holmgren, go ahead.
I just wanted to inform everyone that the reason why I'm putting forward a request to amend the Human Rights Commission ordinance is secondary to a community request for increased diversity on the commission. And it is not to remove people from the commission, but rather to expand it to allow people of color to join as well. So the mayor had put forth over the past few months many notices for people to apply, but unfortunately, some of those applications didn't come in until it was too late. But there is a lot of talent and professionalism on the commission already. And I talked about this at the last Human Rights Commission meeting. We feel that it would be appropriate and necessary to expand the number of seats to include people of color and perhaps people from other more marginalized communities as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Appreciate the clarification. And if there's any volunteers that would like to join this committee, please send your letter to the mayor's office, and we'll process that and we'll move you along and get you in the system. So thank you, Council Holmgren. Anybody else with anything? All right, so this isn't an amendment. This is just a point of information. So I will entertain a motion to accept the consent agenda.
So moved.
All right.
Second.
It's been moved. I'm not sure who moved it, but it's been moved, seconded by Councilor Cox, moved by Councilor Holmgren. I'll call for the roll. Councilor Holmgren,
Yes.
Councilor LeBlanc, yes. Councilor McCarthy,
Yes.
Councilor Memhard,
Yes.
Councilor Nolan,
Yes.
Councilor O'Hara,
Yes.
Councilor Pett,
Yes.
Councilor Cox,
Yes.
and Councilor Gilman. Nope. Did we lose Val? She looks frozen. Okay, she is. So motion to accept the consent agenda passes on a roll call vote of 8 in favor and 1 technical difficulty. And I'm sure Val's going to try to log back on. So we'll move. We still have a quorum and we will move right along.
Counselor?
Madam- Yes.
Real quick, on my agenda, it's got you as the roll call vote, but you keep calling Jen first, so I'm just curious. Not that it really matters, but
I thought Val was last time. Joanne, is that correct? My roll call, or is it Jen?
No, on the agenda, it's Councilor LeBlanc.
Okay.
Val was the last one, though, I thought.
Val was the last one.
No? No? Oh.
The last meeting I had, I wrote all the rolls here and Val's first. So that's why I skipped down to Jen. But anyway.
it doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's fine. We'll just keep it as it is. And then
Okay.
next week we'll go to the next person. All right. I'm sure Val's trying to log on, but we're going to keep going. Madam Clerk, can we have the next order of business, please?
Next order of business is the Budget and Finance Standing Committee report of February 4th.
Thank you. Councilor Cox.
Good evening, everybody. I put forward a consent agenda on behalf of the Budget and Finance Committee. If anybody has any questions or would like to pull anything off that, please do so now. Seeing none, I offer the consent agenda. I move the consent agenda, something like
Second.
that.
All right.
Seconded.
It's been moved by Councilor Cox, seconded by Councilor Memhard. Any other discussion, Councilor?
No, just again, getting a lot of donations and grants and moving things forward.
Okay, great. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, we have a motion and a second. I will offer the roll call. Councilor Holmgren,
Yes.
Councilor LeBlanc, yes. Councilor McCarthy,
Yes.
Councilor Memhard,
Yes.
Councilor Nolan,
Yes.
Councilor O'Hara,
Yes.
Councilor Pat.
Yes.
Councilor Gilman, I'm not sure if she's on, but we do have somebody here. Hold on. Val, is this you? Four, 6, 8, 2. Is that you, Val? Last 4 digits? All right. I just wanted to make sure she wasn't calling in.
Well,
That-
that person,
That's her
that
number.
number has been raised.
That's her number.
That's Val's number. Val, can you hear me? She's not gonna be able to vote on this anyway
Yeah.
because she's dialing in, but we got her on here. All right,
She's got her hand raised to speak.
yeah, I got her on the panelists. All right, so I apologize, and we're at Counselor
Me.
Gilman was the last one. Did I go through everybody? I'm not sure. I got kind of Counselor Cox.
Yes.
Okay. Motion passes on a roll call vote of 8 in favor, 1 technical difficulty still. Well, this is why we have our rules of procedure we're gonna review this evening. So Val, if you can hear me, I've got you on as a panelist. You have to unmute yourself so you can be in on the call. All right, Madam Clerk, can we have the next order of business, please?
Next order of business is the Ordinance Administration Committee report of February 1st.
All right, Val, are you here? Can you hear me?
I am. Yes,
All
can you
right.
hear me?
Yes, we can, just in time. So we're
Okay.
we have ordinance administration now. We're gonna discuss this next procedure. So ordinance administration voted on a roll call of 3 in favor, 0 opposed to recommend that the city council amend the council rules of procedure 2018, rule number 1, meetings, section E, remote participation at council, city council and standing committee meetings by adding the following. Okay, so city council rules of procedure for participating in a remote meeting on March 10th, 2020. Governor Baker declared that the statewide emergency implemented certain restrictions to combat the spread of COVID. The emergency measures required, among other things, discontinuation of all in-person meetings. As a result, the city council began to hold remote meetings using video conference platform. The use of such video conference platform may continue well into the future, according to the city council. The city council has created the following rules to govern attendance at its meetings and are held using video conference platforms. So number 1, if the council, so these are, just to give you a brief overview before I read through these are some of the rules of procedure that if we do lose a city councilor, or if we lose the president, or we lose the vice president, how we continue this meeting, as long as we have a quorum with councilors that are coming in and out of the meeting because of technical difficulties. And this is a perfect example of Val getting bumped off the call during video conference, and she's able to call in on the telephone. So rule number 1, if the city council president is unable to access the city council meeting held via a video conference platform for whatever reason. All right, somebody's on, all right.
I came back
Okay.
and I had to cancel my phone.
Perfect.
So that I
I'll
was
start
making the
again.
echo. I'm sorry.
No problem. If the city council president is unable to access a council meeting held via a video conference platform for whatever reason, the city council vice president shall continue to run the meeting unless and until the president returns to the meeting. If the city council president and vice president are both unable to access the city council meeting held via a video conference platform for whatever reason, then the city councilor with the most seniority on the council shall continue to run the meeting unless and until the president or the vice president returns to the meeting, provided there is still a quorum of the city council. Rule number 3, if the city council president, vice president, and councilor with the most seniority are unable to access the city council meeting held via video conferencing platform for whatever reason, then the meeting shall immediately adjourn and be rescheduled at a later date. Number 4, if the city clerk is unable to access the city council meeting held via video conference platform for whatever reason, then the meeting shall continue provided there is still a quorum of the city council. And number 5, if one or more city councilors are unable to access the city council meeting held via video conferencing platform for whatever reason, then the meeting shall be continued provided that there is still a quorum of those councilors who are unable to access the meeting. Should they return to the meeting, shall not vote on this matter being considered at the time they lost access. The chair of the meeting may, at his or her discretion, call for a 5-minute recess to wait for the councilors to return. And I so move.
Second.
All right, so that's the motion, and those are the, so this is a perfect example. So Councilor Gilman was on the call, she was on the video, she dropped out. She was able to call back in. On the last vote, she wasn't here for it, so we skipped over her on that vote because she missed the better part of the motion. So these are just some rules that we're implementing on how to proceed, and the council has rules to follow, the city clerk has rules to follow if we do lose a councilor here and there. So during the, rule number 5, if multiple councilors are done, drop the call, and so the president will ask, he or she will ask for a 5-minute recess. So say we're having a special council, council permit before us, and we need the 6 votes or however it's going to be. We can ask for a recess to make sure that these councilors get back in. I noticed right away when Val froze, and I stated that in the meeting that we had lost her, that she was froze. So appreciate you calling in. So this is a perfect example of trying to implement these rules so we can proceed with any other meetings that we do have any malfunctions or anything like that. And I know Councilor Gilman went to the MMA meetings the other day, and would you like to share anything on the MMA meetings that govern this, or that the Q&A that you had?
I'd love everybody to be able to just look at them themselves, and because I think everything is pretty consistent with what we said, but they're, in terms of this modification that you put through, or this new rules of procedure. But I think it might be helpful just that if we all paused for 2 weeks to look at this material to see if anything should be added. And the other thing that they said in the verbal part of the conversation is the attorney representing KP Law said that we also need to be on our, if we are calling in and part of the video, we need to keep our video on unless we have to run to the bathroom. That was the example. But they said that that's a requirement for boards and commission and elected officials. So that's something new. And I think that it might be something that we need to think about. I remember that, I think it was Tom Mantle mentioned this at 105 Wingashiek, that was something that he felt that it was important. And then I heard from the Best Law Firm that is something that is part of the law. I don't remember seeing that. But I just, like when that open meeting law came out from Governor Baker, but KP Law said that was a requirement. So I thought maybe we could ask Attorney Payson to call the law firm and just ask them to show him the actual wording of this. And I think that we might want to add that as well. They also said that if someone calls in and that's the best they can do, obviously they can't show their face,
Right.
and that's fine.
Like you earlier, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so why don't we just amend it to add that if you have the video capability, that you should be on the call. I don't have a problem with that. I'd rather not delay it anymore because we have.
That's great. That's the most important thing.
Yeah,
that jumped out to me.
but for example, in our rules of procedure now, it doesn't state that you have to be on the call because I remember last year or the couple of years ago, we had one counselor that was traveling and they didn't have the video conference capability, but they were allowed to get on the call. You know, so if you are able to video conference, then that's fine. But if you're out of the country and all you can do is call in, if it's a special vote that you want to chime in on, you know, then that's fine. Just like you just did a little while ago, you dropped out and you had to call in. So that will be accepted too. So if you want to make an amendment to add that, I have no problem.
Sure, I can't think of it off the top of my head, but I would say that I amend the rules of procedure by adding
video capabilities.
That if you have the capability to be on video, you must continue to be on video. With the exception, if you call in, it's acceptable that is your only medium of communications. How's that?
I'll second.
You want to move it first? Hold on, Jen. She's got to move it first.
Oh, and I so move.
There you go.
Second.
All right. Chip, what do you think of that amendment verbiage? Pretty straightforward.
So,
Yeah, I think it's fine. I mean, obviously Counselor Gilman's determination that they're the best. I mean, they are a large law firm. I looked at the Attorney General's website, and I see no mention of requirements in the amended open meeting law section as laid out by the Attorney General. I'm happy to look into this further. I think as a belt and suspenders issue, if the council wishes to include an encouraged requirement that video be on, I think that's fine. But if not, I'd be happy to look into it further.
Okay, thanks, Chip. I'm going to support the amendment. I think it's fine. I don't have a problem with it. I think we should, same thing as a council meeting, we're up there and people see us. So I think it's, unless you're going for a bathroom break or something like that, and you have to jump off for a minute or possibly shut your camera off for a minute to go do something personal, that's fine with me. But we've been requiring people to vote showing their face since the beginning of this. So I will support the amendment. Any other councilor discussion? Councilor Cox?
I think as long as if you're participating in this with video, you should be on video the entire time. There's the exception if you lose video or prior to us all even knowing what Zoom was, prior to March of last year, we did do remote participation via phone, and the only requirement was that everything proceed in a roll call fashion, which is what we're doing now as well. But if you're on video and you're participating in the meeting, I guess the bottom line is, don't do anything during a meeting that you wouldn't do sitting at City Hall. All of us have gotten up at some point to go to the bathroom or whatever, but we time it in between votes or whatever. But I think it's super important for transparency and the public confidence that if we're here, we need to be on video. So, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Holmgren?
I'll also support this amendment. I think it's something we are all capable of doing, and I appreciate Councilor Gilman bringing it forward.
Thank you. Anybody else? Councilor Pat? Go ahead,
Yeah,
Councilor
just
Pat.
again, with the exception of, yes, again, just with the exception of the quote unquote bathroom break or whatever, and maybe if some people have some medical issues that require them to take a break, I think that's also should be acceptable. I don't, if they're able to say listen in while they're doing something that, again, as Councilor Cox said, something that they wouldn't, as long as it's not something they wouldn't be doing up at City Hall if they were there. But if they needed to be off for a minute or two, I would not have a problem with that.
And everybody knows we can always ask for a 2-minute break during any meeting. If somebody has something important to do, we can pause for a few minutes, you know that. All right, so on the amendment, we all set with the discussion? Okay, so on the amendment, roll call vote, Councilor Holmgren,
Yes.
Councilor LeBlanc, yes. Councilor McCarthy,
Yes.
Councilor Memhard,
Yes.
Councilor Nolan,
Yes.
Councilor O'Hara,
Yes.
Councilor Pat,
Yes.
Councilor Cox,
Yes.
and Councilor Gilman.
yes.
All right, motion to amend passes on a roll call vote of 9 in favor, 0 opposed. So back to the main motion with the amendment. Any other councilor discussion? So this is just a base. I'm sure this will be tweaked again at some point, but this is a blueprint of what we need to be practicing, and something that if one of us drops out, or myself or Val, we do have rules in place, so everybody's sitting around twiddling their thumbs, figuring things out. So Like I said, I'm sure this will be tweaked at some point later on down the road to include a couple more things, but it's a blueprint. Councilor Gilman?
Yeah, and I want to just reiterate on something that you said earlier, Councilor LeBlanc,
Yep.
that the 5-minute break is really important if it's a very important motion.
Absolutely.
Something that is significant, and some of us are, just absolutely need to be on the discussion. I think it's really important to give it that 5-minute break and allow us to call in or go to a different part of our house and see if there's better connectivity someplace else.
I agree.
It's so important, and missing an important vote is a big deal. And I'd never want to have technology allow me to not vote on an important vote. So
I agree.
I really like that part.
That's why we moved along with the consent with Councilor Cox's consent agenda earlier without you, because we had the quorum and it wasn't super important that we needed a majority or 2/3 majority. But anything like that, special council permit or something that's been before the city that's huge, definitely we should pause and try to get a quorum or 2/3 back on, so that way we can proceed for everybody. So these are just some best practices that we'll have to implement for not only this council, but for the future council. Councilor Nolan?
I just have one comment.
Yes.
You're probably gonna have to watch me eat dinner.
That's fine.
We did back an hour because of this. And some people do work a little later than 5. So I'll abide by it, and you may have to watch me eat, but I'm sorry, but instead of changing the meeting to 7, it's almost impossible to not.
Will you share if it's something we like?
I would, and if some of these restaurants would be able to serve us because of their populations, we get more desserts out there, and I'd be more than happy to buy dinner for everybody. We could all do it in person.
That's fine, Sean. As long as you do it discreetly, I'm fine with that. As long as you don't have
So
a.
cruel if you're drinking soup or something.
All right. So I'm glad we can joke around with each other, so not a problem. All right, so we're back to the main motion of the discussion. We do have a motion in a second. So if there's no other discussion, I will offer the roll call. Councilor Holmgren.
Yes, and thank you for bringing this forward.
Councilor LeBlanc. Yes. Councilor McCarthy.
Yes.
Councilor Memhard.
Yes, a sign of the times.
Councilor Nolan.
Yes.
Councilor O'Hara.
Yeah.
You broke up, Jamie, real quick. What was that?
Yes.
Thank you,
Yes.
sir. Councilor Pett.
Yes.
Councilor Cox.
Yes.
And Councilor Gilman.
Yes.
Motion passes on a roll call vote of 9 in favor, 0 opposed. Thank you, everyone. Madam Clerk, next order of business, please. Nope. Joanne, are you there?
Sorry, I didn't unmute myself.
That's
The
okay.
Planning and Development Standing Committee report of February 3rd.
Councilor Gilman?
No items to report, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, next order of business, please.
Is the public hearing 2020-100, Special City Council Permit 2020-002, Essex Avenue, number 99, map 216, lot 126, cluster zoning ordinance section 3.1.6, parentheses B, building heights in excess of 35 feet, section 2.3.4, parentheses 13, marine-related service, storage, or repair limited primarily in the MI district to commercial fishing vessels, section 5.5, lowland requirements, section 5.5.2, and section 5.5.3 in the EV district.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I will open the public hearing and continue this till March 9th, 2021. So this is going to be continued for anybody that has joined the call later on during the meeting till March 9th, 2021. All right, Madam Clerk, next order of business, please.
Is public hearing 2021-002, Special City Council Permit 2021-003, 001, modification of special city council permit 2017-012, Schoolhouse Road number 2-4, map 262, lots 37 and 38. Gloucester zoning ordinances, sections 4.3, sign regulations, 5.17, drive-through facilities, 5.29.3.3, additional uses, 5.29.6.1, off-street parking requirements, 5.298, drive-through facilities, and 5.2910, relief by special permit in the R10 mixed-use overlay district.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And before we start the public hearing, I'll just set up some guidelines. So the applicant will have 15 minutes to speak in favor, or if there's anybody else that would like to speak in favor along with the applicant, you'll have 15 minutes. If there's an opposition, they will be allowed, if there's a main speaker, will be allowed that 15 minutes also. And then everybody after that in favor or in opposition will get 3 minutes to speak on this matter. I will open the public hearing and ask if there's anybody that would like to speak in favor. Our attorney Favaza, welcome.
Good evening.
Go ahead.
Two short requests. One is if we could have Bob Gillis, who's in attendance, brought over. He's going to speak for a brief moment during my presentation. And secondly, Mr. President, with your permission, I would like to share my screen. Is that okay?
Yes, sir. Joanne, can we get him to share a screen? And
Yeah, I'm good to go. I just wanted to get permission.
All right, before we start, Bob, can you hear me? It just said Bob on the attendees and I promoted him to a panelist, so.
I think you want Robert Gillis.
All right. Hold on 1 second. There we go. All right. Thanks, bud. All right. Floor is yours, Joel. Go ahead.
Thank you. Is everyone able to see my screen?
Yes.
And everyone can see the laser pointer?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. For the record, my name is Joel Favaza. I'm an attorney at Seaside Legal Solutions, 123 Main Street here in Gloucester. I am here on behalf of the Cape Ann Savings Bank, which is the applicant and a tenant at 4 Schoolhouse Road. I'm here on behalf of GXPH4 LLC, which is the owning entity for Schoolhouse Road. And in a very limited capacity, I'm here on behalf of the YMCA of the North Shore, as they are the owners of 2 Schoolhouse Road, which is affected by this request as well. What we're trying to do here is get the necessary relief to construct a full-service bank branch with drive-through facilities. Here are some renderings that you have seen if you've watched PND or the planning board or reviewed the packet, but I include them here for the public hearing, so make sure everyone at home can see them as well. By way of background, we are located in the R10 district. This district has been modified by the MUOD, that is the mixed-use overlay development, overlay district rather, that went on the property for the Fuller mixed-use redevelopment that had the YMCA, Dolben Apartments, and Sam Parks retail. The construction itself is limited to 4 Schoolhouse Road. However, it will impact a parking lot shared with 2 Schoolhouse Road. Now, Mr. Gillis is going to speak to you briefly about the background relating to the Cape Ann Savings Bank.
Can you hear me, everybody?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Joel, very much, and thank you, councilors. I appreciate it.
Well, can we get your name and address for the record real quick, please?
Sorry, it's Robert Gillis, 31 Sayward Street in Gloucester.
Thank you. Go ahead.
You bet. It was over a year ago now that the Board of Trustees of the Cape Ann Savings Bank saw the opportunity to lease a spot up on Schoolhouse Road. And we currently have 19 trustees, all of whom support this new branch that we're very excited about. There's a drive-through. It's a great location in between the new YMCA and the Halyard Apartments, not to mention the Gloucester Crossing behind us. Cape Ann Savings Bank was founded in 1846. We started with $1,355 in assets, as you can see here. Now we're over $750 million. We currently have our main office in Gloucester, downtown Gloucester, as well as Rockport and Manchester by the Sea. We do have a drive-through facility in Rockport, but we're looking forward to one here at Schoolhouse Road also. Before the pandemic, it was an important resource, but now in the midst of this pandemic, it's even more important, and more people have gotten used to using the drive-through. I'll also say we've been in business for 175 years. We plan to celebrate this year. It obviously be a more subdued celebration than we were hoping, but we expect it to be special nonetheless. I will say too, that's important. We are a local community bank, and we are an independent bank. And our Board of Trustees has put it in our strategic plan to remain an independent bank. And it's significant because independent banks are going away. You hear about mergers all the time, and it's a trend that is continuing and won't be going away anytime soon, but we intend to stay independent. So we are really looking forward to this opportunity. Our main office in downtown, we expect to continue to be vital, but this will enhance the bank's business and make a more convenient location for our customers and our new customers. Thank you.
Thank you. So just by way of the permitting history, this application was filed back in November of last year. We began with P&D in December. We went over to the planning board in late December and early January. At the planning board, we got site plan approval and a unanimous recommendation from the planning board to the city council. And then last week on February 3rd, we received a unanimous recommendation from P&D. The relief we're requesting is threefold. We're asking to modify an existing city council special permit, which was granted back in 2017 for the initial development. This will allow for the retail bank with drive-through facilities and modifies the parking lot and alters the footprint of one of the larger retail buildings that was permitted. We also need to obtain a drive-through permit. Now, although there is a overlay district on this, the overlay district says, go look at the normal regulations for a drive-through. And as you may know, drive-throughs are not permitted in the R10 district. So we need a lot of relief from this because the R10 district typically does not look like Gloucester Crossing and Schoolhouse Road. So these are the various subsections that we need to get relief from. Again, putting the R10 district, we submitted digitally versus the 12 copies the ordinance calls for. And we also skipped a prepared plan by a landscape architect because this is a fully developed and permitted site. And then the last bit of relief is relief from signage requirements. Again, the overlay district says, hey, just look at the normal sign requirements and use those. And the sign requirements don't expect much by way of business signs in the R10 district. So it limits us to 10 square feet total for the entire project. And the signs we proposed total approximately 150 square feet. But I think as we go through this, you'll see that although it sounds like a huge number compared to what's allowed, it's not really that heavy a lift when we get into it. I'm just going to kind of briefly go through these plans. These were all in the submission set, and I include them in the slideshow in case there are any questions. We need to go back and refer to them. This shows the flow of traffic as marked up by me. This shows the flow of traffic as done properly by an engineer. I wanted to make sure we crossed our T's and dotted our I's there. We have the floor plans for the proposed bank, lighting plan, elevation plans, renderings, sign plans. And then a little bit of housekeeping. I mentioned this at P&D, but I want to make sure it's here in the record for the public hearing also. The traffic report that was submitted to you actually thought there was going to be more retail space than is actually being used. So the traffic report you received overestimated how much traffic there would be, still said that the change is nominal compared to the permit you've issued before. But if anything, there'll be even less traffic than the report was telling you. And again, I don't think it's crucial, but it's important to have it out there so you know. The other piece of housekeeping is in the submission packet, there was this red line site plan where we were going to change the striping for the entire parking lot and move the aisles. Well, it turns out that those aisles couldn't be widened because they were already built and already wired. So we are not going to be changing all those lines. And that was discussed at P&D and the planning board as well, but I wanted it out here at the public hearing. This just shows you quickly all the changes that were proposed in the application package. And then this blue shows you how much less change there actually is being requested now. When you go to review the information you're being provided tonight and previously at other meetings, you have standards set forth in section 1.8.3, which you're very familiar with, and the drafters of section 5.29, which is the overlay district, where had some good foresight and said we're going to have the 6 factors from 1.8.3 double up and be the same 6 factors that you would look at under the overlay district. To go through those, so we'll look at the social, economic, and community needs. If you go back to the original Gloucester Crossing special permit, it actually called for a drive-through betting facilities. This is actually allowing, a little unfinished business to finally get wrapped up in the development of that larger parcel. The Cape Ann Savings Bank expects to add to the workforce. They don't intend to close any of their existing facilities in order to start this one. And as I'm sure you know, the Cape Ann Savings Bank has a proven track record of being an excellent corporate citizen in Cape Ann. They provide services and donations to charities. Their employees can be seen frequently volunteering throughout Manchester, Essex, Rockport, and Gloucester. For traffic flow and safety, again, you've already looked at this. You gave it a permit in 2017. The updated report said there's no real change here. And as far as the drive-through part of this is fully compliant with every dimensional requirement, stacking requirement, number of lanes for a drive-through. So when you or your predecessors put together the drive-through ordinance, this is what they wanted them to look like, and it looks like what they wanted them to look like. You have to consider the adequacy of utilities and other public services. So as I'm sure you remember, there was a partnership between the Fuller Mixed Use Venture and the city to do extensive upgrades to utilities with the original permitting of this part of the property. And there's no increase to the demand of utilities as part of this modification. Initially, although it wasn't set in stone, it was hypothesized this area would be a restaurant. And obviously a restaurant would have a much higher demand on natural gas, water, sewer, et cetera, than this bank branch will. You also have to consider the neighborhood character and social structure. So we're in the middle of, the expanding Gloucester Crossing, right? This bank use is complementary to existing and proposed uses. And again, the specific applicant is Cape Ann Savings Bank, and they fit in pretty darn well with the other neighborhoods they've been sitting in for the last 175 years. As for qualities of the natural environment, the reality is this is already permitted as impervious, improved building and parking area. There was just a lot of pavement and building. The Cape Ann Savings Bank is going to employ green technology where feasible, including solar panels on the roof. You saw that in the plan set that was submitted. And then otherwise, it'll just be your typical commercial landscaping in and around the building itself. As for the potential fiscal impact, this is huge for the Cape Ann Savings Bank. If they're able to get up there, on Schoolhouse Road, and draw from people who are going to the new YMCA, going to Market Basket, going to Marshall's, going to all the rest of the existing facilities at Gloucester Crossing and the new ones that Sam's going to build here. That's great for them. Vice versa, Cape Ann Savings Bank has a huge customer base on the island and just west of the island, right? And so if you're able to draw the Cape Ann Savings Bank customers to Schoolhouse Road, that only helps the YMCA, the Marshalls, the Market Basket, the Starbucks, everybody else is up there because you'll have people who are going to be there regardless, being able to take advantage of the other businesses in place. As I said before, I want to reiterate, this is not expecting to result in a closure of any of the existing Cape Ann Savings Bank locations. And we're hoping it encourages the residents of the new apartment complex to keep their money local. I won't go into it tonight because I have limited time, but if you ever have time, take 5 minutes and just go on YouTube and Google a video about the difference between using a local bank and using a national bank and where your money goes and how your money is used. Local banks, keep your money local and use your money locally. And it's more important than you might think. And so this will only help in that regard. So to wrap up, I know it sounds like we're asking for a lot, but again, it's pretty simple relief, right? We're asking for a ton of signage relief because we're in a commercial development that happens to be technically in a residential district. As far as the drive-through, again, usually people are submitting drive-through requests and saying, hey, we'd like a little leeway on this requirement. We'd like to kind of adjust this requirement. This thing checks every single box right down the line, is designed to the standards that are set in the GZO. And again, as I mentioned, we have site plan approval from the planning board, a unanimous recommendation from the planning board, and a unanimous recommendation from the Planning and Development Subcommittee. With that, I will thank you. I think you meant 13 minutes. I hope that was okay. I know I spoke quickly. Anyone has any questions, I'm happy to help. In the meantime, I'll stop my screen share.
All righty, Joel, thank you. We will get to councilor questions very shortly. Is there anybody else that would like to speak in favor? I am going to repeat myself from the beginning of the meeting. If you are calling in on a telephone, you can press *9. If you are watching on a device or a computer, there is a raise hand button to request to speak. Once again, on a telephone, *9, and on your phone or your laptop or your device, there's a raise hand button. Anybody would like to speak in favor? Seeing none, is there anybody that would like to speak in opposition? Once again, *9 if you are calling in. There is a raise hand button on your device or your computer. All right, seeing none. Do we have any councilor, Madam Clerk, do we have any communications?
There are none.
Do we have any councilor questions? All right, seeing none. I will close the public hearing and ask for the committee report. Councilor Gilman.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselors, the modifications on this special council permit are consistent with the initial special council permit in a mixed use.
Uh-oh. All right, Jen. Do you have the template?
I have the template.
All right, you want to
Yes.
read the motion?
Yes, the Planning and Development Committee moved to, and I move, I'm sorry, that the City Council grant to the Cape Ann Savings Bank, parentheses GHPX LLC, owner of real property known as 4 Schoolhouse Road, and Young Men's Christian Association of the North Shore, Inc., owner of real property known as 2 Schoolhouse Road, and parentheses, a modification of Special Council Permit 2017-12 for a Special Council Permit SCP 2020-006 for the property located at Schoolhouse Road numbers 2 through 4, Assessor's Map 262, lots 37 and 38, pursuant to Gloucester Zoning Ordinance Section 5.29.3.3, additional uses, 5.29.6.1 off-street parking requirements, 5.29.10 relief by special permit, 5.17 and 5.29.8 drive-through facilities, and 4.3 sign regulations to 1, modify existing permit SCP 2017-012, 2, allocate 8 parking spaces at Schoolhouse Road number 4 to the parking space count of Schoolhouse Road number 2, 3, obtain a new drive-through permit, and 4, receive relief from signage requirements. This permit is made on the basis of plans and elevations dated November 4th, 2020, and submitted to the city clerk on November 18th, 2020, entitled, quote, Schoolhouse Road Permit Site Overview Plan, end quote. Subject to new information and or debate that results from the public hearing, this special council permit is deemed to be in harmony with the intent and purpose of the zoning ordinance, and I so move.
Second.
Give it to Barry.
It's been moved by Councilor Holmgren, seconded by Councilor Peck. Good job, Jen. And with
Now I can
Councilor
do the narrative. I'm so
Yes.
sorry. I
That's
jumped the
okay.
gun. And thank you for picking up on that, boo-boo. Thank you.
Go ahead, Councilor
So-
Gilman.
I appreciate it. So counselors, the modifications are consistent with the initial special council permit in a mixed use overlay district, which was improved under special council permit 2017-012. As Attorney Favazza stated, there are 89 required spaces, 97 are now provided at the Cape Ann Savings Bank location. The YMCA parcel requires 250 spaces, and there are now 242 provided. Under the terms of 5.29 of the GZO and easements, the parking lot is shared between the properties and the parking requirements have been met. In terms of sign regulations, it will be on the building, on the tower on the north side facing the large parking lot, and the side facing the Rotary, on the window facing the apartments, and on the drive-through awning. The permit is made on the basis of plans and elevation dated on November 4th, 2020, which was submitted to the City Council on November 18th, 2020. I think it was obvious to us that the planning board voted unanimously in support. I talked to Greg Catamatori this morning, and he repeated that the modifications are absolutely consistent with the initial special council permit. So on that basis, our council voted 3 in favor, 0 opposed, that this special council permit is deemed to be in harmony with the intent and the purpose of the zoning ordinances, which also includes meeting the standards to be applied, 1.8.3, in terms of traffic flow, safety, adequacy of utilities, and that there are no increases there. Neighborhood character is consistent with the mixed use, the natural environment, how cool it is that solar panels will be added when allowed. And I think everyone knows that from an economic basis, this is really very beneficial. So our P&D department voted unanimously. We found the site visit to be extremely helpful, even though it was incredibly cold. But to see this, how it's all going to lay out, and it was really cool. So our P&D would like to support this and hope that the council votes in favor. So thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Any other councilor discussion? All right, seeing none, we have a motion by Counselor Holmgren, seconded by Counselor Pett. So I will entertain a roll call. Counselor Holmgren.
Yes, and thank you.
Counselor LeBlanc, yes. Counselor McCarthy.
Yes, for all the reasons outlined by Councilor Gilman, my vote would be yes.
Yep. Counselor Memard.
Full disclosure, I am a corporator of the Cape Ann Savings Bank, but I will not be benefiting in any way from this vote, and I support it 100%. Yes.
Thank you, Scott. Counselor Nolan.
Yes, I definitely support this, and I want to thank them for being a great community asset. And I'd like to congratulate Bob Gillis on his retirement, and thank you for all his years of service.
Here, here. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Sean.
Counselor O'Hara.
Yes, I apologize. I will be recusing myself from the vote as I've performed work for the applicant.
Thank you, Jamie. Counselor Pett.
I will give disclosure that I'm a depositor at the Cape Ann Savings Bank, and I appreciate all the work that they do and also what they have done over all the years for the community. I thank them. I thank Bob Gilson. As Councilor Nolan said, congratulate him on his upcoming retirement. And yes.
Thank you, Barry. Counselor Cox.
I would like to disclose that Cape Ann Savings Bank basically owns my house, and that by no means makes my mortgage go away if I vote in the positive on this, as I will be doing. Congratulations on your retirement. It seems like you just got in that position, but March of 2020 seemed like it was 4 months long. So congratulations, and we very much look forward to working with Mary Ann in the future. I also appreciate the fact that I no longer have to drive to Rockport to use the drive-through. So again, thank you and good luck.
Thank you. Counselor Gilman.
I will be voting in support, and as many of you, I like what Councilor Pett said, that I too am a depositor of the savings bank. Unfortunately, I tend to take more out than I'd like to deposit, so that's definitely a challenge, but there's no conflict. And I totally approve this. I think that it's right for the city, it's right for the Cape Ann Savings Bank, and it's right for the community in terms of helping all the folks that live up there, convenience, and all the people in our community. Keeps people here. So I'm totally in support of this. So thank you.
Thank you, Val, and a great job to P&D for doing your due diligence. We appreciate it. So motion's been made, seconded, and roll call vote has been made on 9 in favor, 0 opposed. So the motion passes.
Counselor, I think Counselor O'Hara said that he had to recuse.
Oh, I'm sorry.
himself.
You're correct. Absolutely. We have 8 in favor and 1 recused. I just got caught up in all the hubbub about the depositing in the house and everything. I appreciate it. So motion passes on a roll call vote of 8 in favor, 1 recused, Madam Clerk. All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
Madam Clerk, can we have?
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And congratulations on your retirement, Bob. Enjoy yourself. Goes quick.
Thank you very much, Steve.
No problem. Looking forward to seeing you around town.
You bet.
All right, Madam Clerk, can we have the next order of business, please?
The next order of business is for council vote, a motion for reconsideration, Councilor Cox, on the City Council vote of January 26, 2021, regarding the appointment of Charles Payson as General Counsel, term to expire 2/14/23.
All right, so we have a reconsideration from our last meeting by Councilor Cox. So under council reconsideration, the clerk of the city council shall hold every measure adopted by the city council to the end of the next business day, with no exceptions. And if during said time notice of an intent to file a motion of reconsideration, the matter is filed with the clerk of the council by any member entitled to make such a motion. The measure shall be returned to the city council for further action. If no such statement of intent is filed with the city clerk of the council, he or she at the end of the next day, the next business day, forthwith present the matter to the mayor. Okay, so before us tonight, we have a reconsideration of our attorney, Charles Payson, and the same thing with our HR director, Holly Dugwillow. So I will defer this to Councilor Cox. She was the one that made the motion to reconsider. So Councilor Cox, would you like to offer a motion?
Well, before I get into the motion to reconsider, I'd like to explain exactly why we're here.
Hold on one second, Melissa, real quick. Joanne, can we have an open discussion before the motion? I just want to do this procedurally correct. Should we make a motion and then have the discussion, or is Councilor Cox okay to move this forward with a narrative before a motion? I think if I'm correct, I think we should make a motion first, Councilor.
Okay,
and
I
then have
did
the
speak with Joanne earlier today. There's no definitive right or
Right.
wrong way on this. I mean, the reconsideration itself is extremely vague, but I will, and I want to do these together because the discussion is going to be together. So I move to reconsider Attorney Payson and HR Director Dugwillow.
Second.
All right, motion's
Thank
been made by Councilor Cox, seconded by Councilor Memhard. Okay, Councilor Cox, now go ahead with your narrative.
Okay, so my reconsideration was from a budget standpoint and not a personnel matter. I just want to clear that up right away. We cannot discuss personnel matters at an open meeting. That has to be done in executive session. And I just want it to be clear that this is not a personnel matter. This is not a judgment on either of the parties. It is from a very strict budget standpoint that I'm doing this evening. Typically, when we see a retirement or someone leave their position, we use the lag time in hiring to pay for the buyback of sick and vacation. And we move on knowing that there's a possibility of a small over under in the budget. In this case, we had a sick vacation buyback issue plus a full-time hire in the legal department. We took a part-time, non-benefited, non-pensioned position and turned it into a full-time position that was not in the budget. At Budget and Finance, we asked twice for reasons behind the deficit in the legal department, and the deficit was pretty high. It was high enough to warrant inquiry from the Budget and Finance team. And we were told that it was because of a full-time hire. We were told we'd get more information at the next meeting. At the same time, the appointments were before O&A. So it's unfortunate that we were not able to get the information to O&A in time to have a legitimate discussion as far as the trickle-down effect of this. So I do want you to know that Budget and Finance was not in receipt of any information prior to O&A's appointments. Otherwise, we would have brought it forward at that time. I'm concerned that from a budget standpoint, that you all didn't have all the information you needed to ask more questions regarding these appointments. And more information was brought to our attention after the city council meeting, which led to my reconsideration of the appointments for these two departments. Even though Budget and Finance has asked for the information, we still don't have a full understanding of the impact of the part-time to full-time position. So I'm before you now because I have to deal with this reconsideration, but just know that because we don't have the information, I can't legitimately talk to you about the impact on the budget. But again, I think it would be unfair to the city councilors who are not on Budget and Finance or who did not follow our questions regarding the deficit in the legal department, that maybe we didn't have all the information to do these appointments correctly. So I made my motion for reconsideration based on that. You guys now have as much information as we have. So I'm fine with moving forward with the reconsideration vote.
Okay, thank you, Counselor. Counselor discussion, Counselor Holmgren.
I have a question. I remember seeing emails recently regarding the budget for legal, but I don't remember seeing emails prior to the reconsideration. So I don't know when these emails first were sent out, when these requests were first sent out. And I also this isn't so much a question as, well, maybe it is a question. I'm just looking at a couple of different municipalities. I'm looking at Salem and I'm looking at Fitchburg. Both of those legal departments have 2 solicitors in addition to a clerk, like ours. And I realize that their demographics are different, their populations are different, their needs are different, but I'm wondering what is considered best practice around the state in terms of legal departments, and how we would go about moving forward. So my first question is, when were these requests to administration first put forward by BNF? Thank you.
So they would have been part of the discussion at the Budget and Finance meetings when we go over the deficit list for different departments in regards to, so it's not necessarily an email, it would have been discussion at Budget and Finance. And as far as makeup, I don't know, but we've always managed with what we had. So without getting, we're teetering on a personnel discussion here, so we can't go any further as far as why we had to hire a full-time.
Okay, thank you, Counselor Cox. Counselor Holmgren, does that satisfy your questions?
Not really, but that's okay. I wouldn't construe it as a personnel question. I guess I'm wondering what best practices are, or if there is a benchmark at statewide, or if that's something that we need to follow up on.
Any other counselor discussion? Counselor Gilman?
Thank you, Counselor. So I understand the reasons that Counselor Cox discussed. I happened to attend the last BNF meeting. I zoomed in and I was watching it, and it was helpful to understand how it all kind of fits together in terms of your reconsideration. You know, I think right now we have in front of us, we're going to have a tough budget season ahead of us. And I think it is important for us to be looking at all the T's and C's and how much of legal is being outsourced and how much we're doing inside. And to Jen Holgram's suggestion, you know, what is best practices? Do we need someone that can help the council out? And that's all part of what we'll be doing this budget season. I think we'll be rolling up our sleeves and looking at this very closely, as well as all the departments. But having said that, I think that's kind of a parallel path that I see of us looking to really understand this and what is best for us, and understanding all of the intricacies of tons and tons of matters that, you know, our legal department is handling, as well as HR, and determining what is best for our city in terms of, you know, budget. And so I think that this is a healthy conversation. But having said that, you know, in terms of the conversation about reconsideration, I'm not going to support the reconsideration, just because I'm ready to move forward. But I'm really grateful that BNF has brought this up, because we all have to be on our toes and we have to work together. And we don't want surprises, and we want to understand all the intricacies of the budget. So I just wanted to thank you for bringing this up and letting you know that I won't be supporting the reconsideration, but thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. John, before I get to you, Jen, do you want to follow up with something that you said earlier? Okay.
Yes, one follow-up question, and yes, Counselor Gilman, Counselor Cox, I do appreciate this discussion, so thank you. How many hours did Attorney Basu work before she went full-time?
She was budgeted for a part-time position. What that entails, as far as, you know, if it's 20 or less, would be my assumption. But it was
I
not
could
a
have sworn she was benefited somehow. I thought she was 20.
I think it was 22. I also, not 22, but 20 also. Yeah.
20 also.
I think it was 20.
It's still considered part-time.
Yeah.
But benefited. I just want to make that clear.
Okay. Jen, you all set? Thank you, Counselor. Counselor McCarthy.
Yes, I'm just wanting to chime in with my fellow budget and finance counselors that this is something we take very seriously. We have a fiduciary responsibility to the city, and we are given a list every 2 weeks on which accounts are in the red, and this one was a blatant, and we did discuss this several different meetings, and we were a little apprehensive on the appointments because of this. So I will be also joining Counselor Cox tonight.
Thank you, John. Any other counselor? Counselor Pat?
Yes, thank you. Again, without getting into a fiscal issue versus a personnel issue, I think that we all as counselors need to first thank the BNF committee, because they have extraordinary amount of work to put in during their time. But I think we all have a responsibility to participate in not just the two that have been brought up, but in every appointment that comes in, and I think we need to do a better job of vetting them in front of when these appointments come through O&A and et cetera. And obviously, maybe even within the charter, looking at some of the things like within BNF. I mean, again, what is the budget, as Councilor Holmgren had asked? The budget's for, the legal departments. Do we have full-time people? Do we have multiple ones? Do we have a lesser financial obligation in-house, and do we farm stuff out? Those are all things that I think we need to participate in more. I just want to, I haven't been here all that long a period of time, but I'd like to apologize for not, not vetting all of these positions more and participating with it, and hopefully be able to, I think we should all feel a responsibility to do that going forward.
Thank you, Barry. Any other counselor? All right, seeing none. So I just want to thank BNF for bringing this forward. O&A has a tough job when we get these before us all the time. Jamie, Sean, and I we try to vet everything. We look at all the applications. We look at the resumes. We look at everything. Some of these things don't come before us as we vote at the ordinance administration level. But as Barry said, we all have the right to participate and vet these at the ordinance administration and at the council level. So that will give us a little kick in the pants at O&A to make sure that we fully vet everything and make sure that we not only, we have to make sure councilors are reaching out to the O&A committee also to ask questions that we may not think of. So I will not be supporting the reconsideration this evening. And it's up to every counselor to do what they have to do. So the reconsideration is just like any other reconsideration. So if you voted to support back 2 weeks ago, if you voted a yes vote for support, your reconsideration will be no. And if you voted yes last week, 2 weeks ago, and you want to change your vote, it would be yes. So just like any other reconsideration, it's the opposite of what you voted for last time. Or if you want to change your vote, you can vote to do that. Councilor Gilman.
Council, just a point of order. Don't we need to, we vote the reconsideration first, and then we move to the reappointment vote based on if there's a majority on the reconsideration? Isn't that how this works?
Well, Councilor Cox moved the reconsideration for both. So I think we need to dissect these one at a time. So I will offer a motion for Chip first for reconsideration, and then I'll offer a motion for Holly, and we can do them individually. Is that what you're asking?
Right, because we have to do two votes for each
Yes.
of these positions.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
But Councilor Cox brought it forward as a tandem.
I understand.
Just to keep it a little bit more efficient, that's all.
Okay.
So, all right, so if there's no other councilor discussion, I will offer a motion of reconsideration to appoint Charles Payson, term to expire 2/14/23, and I so move.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilor Blank, seconded by Councilor Holmgren. Same thing as if you voted to keep them last time and you don't want to change your vote, it's a no vote. And if you voted to keep them last time and you want to change your vote, it's a yes vote. So I will offer entertain the roll call. Councilor Holmgren.
No.
Councilor LeBlanc. No. Councilor McCarthy.
Yes.
Councilor Memhard.
Yes.
Counselor Nolan,
No.
Counselor O'Hara,
No.
Counselor Pat,
No.
Counselor Cox,
Yes.
and Counselor Gilman.
No.
Motion to reconsider fails on a roll call vote of 3 in favor, 6 opposed. All right, so now we'll get down to Holly, and I will offer a motion to reconsider the appointment of Holly Dugwillow as Human Resource Director, term to expire 2/14/23, and I so move.
Second.
All right, it's been moved by Councilor LeBlanc, seconded by Councilor Holmgren and Nolan. All right, any councilor discussion? All right, seeing none, same thing. Councilor Holmgren,
No.
Councilor LeBlanc, no. Councilor McCarthy,
Yes.
Councilor Memhard,
Yes.
Councilor Nolan,
No.
Councilor O'Hara,
No.
Councilor Pat,
No.
Councilor Cox,
Yes.
and Councilor Gilman.
No.
Motion fails to reconsider on a roll call vote of 3 in favor, 6 opposed. This is a first for me. I'm sure it's a first for Councilor Cox. We've been up here 10 years. I'm sure it'll be a first for all you guys. I appreciate the debate. You know, this is what city council does. We bring things before us. We have a debate. We have a good councilor discussion, and we vote. So well done job to every one of us, whether you voted yes or no. We appreciate that, and this is the democracy at its best. So good job, city council. All right, Madam Clerk.
Guarantee you, we all learned something from this.
Absolutely. We not only at the council, but at ONA, and everybody should participate in the appointments from here on out. Hold on, Councilor Nolan.
I hate to call this short, but I have to attend some weather-related items on the street.
Okay.
So I'll be dropping out, and thank you all for having
All right,
me.
we got about 2 more minutes, Sean. If you want to just wait to the end, it's up to you.
Yep, that's
All
fine.
right. All right, Councilor Pat.
Yes, just very quickly, again, I want to thank Councilor Cox for bringing this forward, bringing the issue to all of us. And just to remind all of us, as you said, this is a first, I guess, definitely for me. And we all need to participate as counselors in all these appointments in all the departments. And vet them through both, ONA and BNF and everything else. And I want to thank all the counselors for their work this evening.
Thank you, Barry. Councilor Cox.
I just want to point out that the only reason why I brought this forward is because I'm chair of Budget and Finance. This was a team effort from Budget and Finance to really discuss and vet the problems that we saw. And, we did our best to make sure that the attention was brought to this issue for the entire city council. And I feel like even though the reconsideration failed, we won as a team because we were able to share more information with you that we found out. So we appreciate it.
Thank you, Councilor. Madam Clerk, next order of business, please.
Is the councilor's request to the mayor.
All right, so I'm going to start with Councilor Nolan, and then when you're done, you can take off. But how's that?
I have no request, but thank you all for the well thought out job tonight. A lot of tough decisions, budget and finance. Really brought some things to light. I wish we had a hold of it before, but I'm very happy to also see them stick together as a team. They did a great job tonight, and thank you all.
All right, Sean, thank you. Good luck at work the rest of the night. Hopefully you get some sleep. All right, so I am going to jump back up and start from my left. So that will be Councilor Holmgren.
I have no requests at this time. I want to thank the general public for continuing to do your best to socially distance and wear your masks. Vaccinations are here. They are being distributed slowly but surely. Thank you to everyone who's been volunteering, working the vaccination clinics, including my peers. Councillor Cox, I'm looking at you. And I'm really excited to watch as more and more people are vaccinated for COVID. So thank you all very much.
Thank you, Jen. Council McCarthy.
Yes, one request to the mayor. As everybody remembers, about a year ago, our president, Councilor Blank, brought a change in the ordinance for the Traffic Commission, where we voted to add a representative from the police department, the fire department, and the DPW. In reviewing their last few meetings, I don't think that's been done yet, at least as of yesterday. I think it's important that that be done. It's nobody's fault. I think we had the meeting and then we fell into the pandemic, and those the Traffic Commission suspended meetings for a long while. But if the mayor could maybe solicit members from police, fire, and DPW, and we can beef that committee up the way we intended to almost a year ago.
Thank you, John. Councilor Cox.
I am super excited to be working at the vaccine clinic tomorrow, helping people get registered through the senior center, helping make phone calls. It was a very, very long, trying day, but knowing that we had a little over 100 vaccines last Thursday go to 75 plus residents, again, very satisfying. So I look forward to helping out more tomorrow, and we're getting there, guys. It's I've not seen a single vaccine in Gloucester wasted. Carol Mondello is doing an amazing job that even if we have one vaccine, she is making phone calls and making sure that does not go to waste. So kudos to Carol and everybody that is working out of the Rose Baker Senior Center for the clinics. So it's been great.
Thank you, Melissa. Appreciate it. Council Memhard.
Nothing for the mayor. Just thank you all and stay safe.
Thank you, Scott. You're looking kind of rough there, buddy. The beard, the hair. You need a spa day, it looks like.
It's been a year.
You look good, buddy. Councilor Pat.
Yes. Besides, I got my first vaccine shot on Saturday. So thank you to all at Rose Baker for hosting the VA and doing all of that. One request to the mayor, if she could forward to the Traffic Commission to take a look at to see whether it's legal or recommended, because there's a somewhat of an issue at the southern intersection of Maplewood Avenue with Prospect Street and Railroad Avenue to put in a yield sign. If we could get that before the Traffic Commission so they could see the legal, because in previous years there has been an issue because of the buoy and question whether it's a roundabout, et cetera. Other than that, thank you, everyone. Be safe. Thank you to the DPW for watching out on our roadways here, and everyone be safe.
Thank you, Barry. Councilor O'Hara.
Thank you. I just want to thank the DPW. I saw them transiting the city with multiple sidewalk plows. We have people who are in dire need to use the sidewalks, and I hope they continue to clear the sidewalks for our city. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. Councilor Gilman.
I've got two things. First of all, I have an accolade to the city and to our city clerk. And maybe Joanne, you could just speak to who was part of this, but it's pretty awesome. We received an award from the United States Census 2020. A thank you. The U.S. Census Bureau hereby recognizes the city of Gloucester as an invaluable member of the 2020 Census Community Partnership and Engagement Program We appreciate the efforts that you made in making the partnership program a success and helping achieve a successful 2000.
Oh, no. I wonder if she's still talking.
Should we circle back? Can we circle back to her?
I give her another minute. Because she came on awfully quick last time, so. All right.
Joanne could probably just read the rest of the citation.
Well, Val had a second request, so I'll give her a second. Another second. All right. Well, I'll start mine.
She's out shoveling her sidewalk.
All right. Oh, we lost you, Val, for the accolade. You're on mute now. All right, that's okay. Val, you're on mute. I don't know if you can hear me.
I'm so sorry. I'm going to have to go to a new spot. My
That's
son's
okay.
room just isn't working with the technology.
So we got the accolade part of it. And so what was your second request to the mayor?
Oh, my second request is, and it's kind of to everybody right now. Counselors, in P&D in particular, I'd love us to really start looking closely at the city charter and starting to really look at the things that we need to be kind of taking a strong stand on in terms of the charter. So I'll just ask that you, Barry, Jen, we start looking at the aspects in the charter that relate to us, and then we can refer it back as an action item to talk about it in P&D and start really getting behind the things that we can be doing better. And I'm eager to do that. And we've talked a lot. I know Nicole, when we were chatting with her, we all talked about how important the city charter is. And I will look forward to doing that. So I just wanted to plant a seed. And and just, we all need, Nicole, one of the things that I'd love to see you also through the mayor to get involved with is, even matters like Appendix C, Section 6-4, employee procedures. There's a whole protocol of how we should be handling things. I know our former CAO, Jim Destino, was a stickler for our reviews and SMART goals and stuff. And the HR in me says we all should be focused on things like that, even in the city clerk's office and the auditor's office. And it's just something that's really important. So if you could just kind of get your arms around that, that would be really appreciated. And, I thank the mayor and Nicole and the HR department for kind of getting their arms around that. So thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Val. All right, so I have a request to the mayor and to the governor. So this morning, Governor Baker was on the news talking about vaccines. They have thousands of appointments that they're holding off on phase 2 because they still want to see if they can get some of these phase 1 people in to get vaccinated. Well, Governor, I think you're wrong. I think that some of these older people that don't want to get vaccinated, if they haven't got vaccinated yet, then you should open it up to the people that are waiting to get vaccinated. To pause on the phase 2 to see if anybody else from phase 1 wants to get it. Well, we have people dying around us every single day is wrong. So I would like the mayor to put some pressure on the governor. I would like our city council and every other city council, board of selectmen to put some pressure on our governor to make sure that we're vaccinating not just the people that are in phase 1, but the people that are in phase 2, instead of, as he stated this morning, pausing to see if we can get some of those people in here to get vaccinated while we have people dying. Also, teachers are getting bumped back. I've got a lot of teacher friends. I've got a lot of family and friends that are in the teaching. We talk about not social, not going with anybody outside of our bubble. Well, we have people that go to school that are teachers that are exposing themselves every day to dozens of bubbles that I think they need to get bumped up on the vaccination list and get vaccinated. They are frontline workers in my eyes. And I think that the school teachers, anybody that has to deal with the school system needs to get vaccinated We had our public health director up here a few weeks ago saying that the major cause of the spread of this illness is at home. So people are going out and bringing it into their home. We have people bringing it from the school. Every day we have somebody that's tested positive or compromised in the school. So putting pressure on the governor, Governor Baker, I'm challenging you to get the vaccination out and get it to the right people instead of pausing and waiting to see if anybody else in certain phases would like to get vaccinated. That is completely wrong in my eyes. And however we need to get this to the governor's office, please do so. And that's my soapbox this evening. So, all
Steve,
right.
can I just say something?
Absolutely.
Okay, so I just want to circle back on that award that we got from the U.S. Federal Census. We have to share that with the administration and with the library. They were, helping us towards the end. There was a grant that the mayor's office got awarded, and we did a public relations. The mayor did a video. I went to initial workshops in Boston and at the State House for to help with the city census. And so I just want to say that we have to share it with the administration also. It wasn't also the city clerk's office on that. And once we get the results of the federal census, we'll be voting on the ward line maps if they change, and that will change the voter registration on the ward lines in the city. If we have any changes, it all depends on the number of the population who have replied to the federal census.
Thank you, Joanne. All right, if there's nothing else, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilor Holmgren, seconded by Councilor Memhard. All right, so roll call, Councilor Holmgren.
Yes, have a good night, everybody.
You too, Jen, thank you. Councilor LeBlanc, yes. Councilor McCarthy,
Yes.
Councilor Memhard,
Yes, good night.
Councilor Nolan is not here. Councilor O'Hara,
Yes.
Councilor Pat,
Prayers for your family, and yes, thank you.
thank you. Councilor Cox
Yes.
and Councilor Gilman.
Yes. Good
All
night.
right, great job, great meeting, everyone. We are adjourned. Have a good night, everyone.
Good night.